Hello, my name is Kellen, and today I'm presenting my project, the Data Collaborative Governance Trust, an initiative in Custom House to support democratic participation and community decision-making through the use of a fair data platform. Custom House has for decades been a place of struggle, but also immense community pride and resilience. However, as the areas surrounding Custom House have faced sweeping regenerations, kids growing up there now feel that they are not equal to the wealth and power they see around them. Information is power. It has made enormous monopolies for fewer companies and organizations than ever before in history. Under the guise of enfranchising global communities, they have siloed in users to be dependent on their technologies whilst maintaining operations that are opaque and harmful to civic life. Information isn't going away, but the power structures around it need to change. In order for communities to take hold of this new form of power, they need to have access to data. The Data Collaborative Governance Trust offers political and legal opposition to our flawed information culture. We do this by building trust instead of taking it for granted. Our legitimacy comes from reaching out to all 14,336 residents of Custom House in our work in a variety of ways. Whereas data platforms often divide us, the foundation of the DCGT is collective action, exemplified by the town hall-style meetings we will host, where every resident has an equal opportunity to voice their opinion and to face criticism. At the town hall deliberations, residents will draw out the core values that will instruct our work. The resulting residents' founding charter will be confirmed by binding ballot vote, building a practice of accountability. Next, the first trustees are elected, acting as community representatives as well as officers of the trust. They're people who are well regarded by residents for their community presence, and we will bring on board a lawyer to draft the founding documents. The DCGT then files as a legal charitable trust, meaning it is accountable to the Charities Commission and trustees can be punished for breaching the terms of the trust. Next, we carefully reach out to organisations outside of Custom House who have an interest in using community data responsibly. We make sure they understand our charter and trust, in addition to being subject to further protective legal measures. The DCGT must maintain a frequent and consistent presence in Custom House. Trust, built on accountability and fairness, underlies all our work. The specific problem with information in Custom House is one I discovered after speaking with many locals. They had different stories, but one consistent complaint: that the information they wanted wasn't reaching their hands, and the information they had wasn't reaching their audience. Custom House has a huge offering of cultural, leisure, commercial, educational, and health facilities. I was surprised they weren't connected in any meaningful way. When I researched into events in the area, I scoured 12 different sources, digital and physical, to be able to compile just one definitive document. In short, Custom House's offerings are plenty. But recently, because of COVID-19, more people than ever before have needed support, and there have been fewer resources to help them cope, as COVID has closed nearby shops and for some, essentials are now delivery only. Because of this, data sharing in the borough has been eager and frequent. Groups quickly shared databases from years of research into local social prescribing, and volunteers and donation offers abounded. These groups understand that working effectively together means reaching more people, and there is a huge amount of trust and goodwill. To support this effort, the newer Response Map was born, a free-to-access authoritative platform for community data. By passing through hundreds of incompatible data entries, we design an inclusive taxonomy for a single database to feed a simple interface that focuses on connecting people to what they need, facilitating care. Working on the response map gave me hope that such a platform could work for all community data. What would it look like? This interface is a prototype I've made. It's simple, clear and concise, and would cost little to maintain. Firstly, it would be membership-based. Anyone can join as we don't hold confidential data, but we want to ensure everyone is a real person based in Custom House. Secondly, it would build in transparency. Beyond a mission statement, we give residents the means to contact our officers directly. Here I'm writing as a resident with a complaint about trustee presence. We keep residents informed of all our activity, for example our involvement with the response map, so anyone can verify for themselves whether we are true to our intentions. They can tell us when they feel we aren't, most easily by voting in our annual trustee elections or via our feedback form that channels a variety of complaints to platform stakeholders for rectification. Thirdly, it would help to foster accountability through sociable engagement. The platform directs residents to times and places for connection. It also hosts community conversation, offering a place to record serious thoughts about local democracy with an expectation of receiving a response, as well as being a record of daily life in Custom House, and a place to plan and organise collective gatherings and collective action. Civic life flows when communities feel genuinely connected. Fourth, it would associate information with civic rather than financial value. It provides access to some of the free tools out there that teach data literacy, including the Data Terms book that resulted from my own research, to demystify data for the average person and aid their greater participation. At the core of the platform is the equal access to data that informs decision-making, a community data section where any resident can view the data that is telling a story about them. Data is available to browse in various formats, encouraging a holistic use of data that highlights the strengths and weaknesses in the way each format records community life. Whether that is visual, numerical, oral, formal, or informal, it is a part of the story of Custom House. It is also available on any issue that concerns the neighbourhood, whether that is contentious or quotidian, to allow for and encourage referencing between topics. We want to highlight that no single source of data can ever tell the whole story. They can only try. To that end, the platform is live and a resident could challenge our data using the query form, for example, to suggest an amendment as is shown here, and they can suggest data to be added using the submission form, or even to add data they have collected themselves, shown on screen now. Changes are approved or not approved by the trustees. The Custom House Data Collaborative website is vital to our theory of change. On contentious issues such as regeneration, the platform provides opportunity and social pressure for everyone to lay their cards on the table. It tells the resident stories as well as the council's. It has the potential to change the built environment for the better when communities reach a consensus, because it facilitates the fair meeting of differing opinions, which is crucial to the making of compromises necessary in a healthy democracy. Here I am showing how the inputs of various data from different sources in different formats could produce a changed regeneration plan that suits both council, developer, and existing residents. Feedback on the website itself allows for snippets of casual conversation on important issues to matter in the long run. Ultimately, significant systemic change is facilitated by this tool as it supports the existence of a strong and united community voice. These long-term ambitions could take 10 years to realise, but the feasibility of this project can be assessed within a year. During the year, I will need to interest key figures in the community and maintain the relationships of trust with them that I've begun to build. Next, I have to finance this research and development phase either through grants from private foundations or by taking on part-time work and splitting my time. At the end of year one, I will need to make an honest judgment about the future potential for the project, whether that means I continue in Custom House or elsewhere, or I stop. My goal is not to grow my idea, but to act on the project belief in the power of sharing as a connective tissue of participatory enfranchisement. Along the way, I expect to encounter risks, and I've detailed only some here. The 3 risks I'd like to highlight are: 1. The harmful misuse of the Data Collaborative Governance Trust. Corruption could occur through the trustees, through data dredging, and through access given to a person with malicious intentions. These harms are managed preventatively by a sense of community goodwill and trust, as punitive measures cannot always erase harms already done. Second, the technical feasibility of the Data Collaborative platform. To create a secure data environment, a hefty expenditure will be necessary. The security problem is partly to keep outsiders from entering, but being that the Data Collaborative aims to share data and never hold confidential data, to be a trusted community record, the main problem is how we ensure the data we have is never lost or its quality corrupted. Third, funding ourselves, which we will likely never be able to do. For the DCGT to generate its own revenue, we would need to monetize the data we hold in some way. Commercial interest must never overtake the importance of the civic value of data, as this would invalidate the mission of the trust. This means we will need to take money from outside third parties and work consistently to maintain partnerships with them while standing independently of their agendas. These risks will be areas of the project where careful and attentive listening and action are needed. Which brings me full circle. Our unit began this year with a discussion of the trait we most strive for in ourselves. Mine was listening. Now, at the end of the year, I want to reflect on what I wrote, partly inspired by Salvatore Rosa's self-portrait. On listening being a dying art, I'm in two minds. I still believe listening is a crucial but dying art. Reviving it will take a long, long time. It is difficult to know what we don't know, which is why it's important to listen, but also more important to support someone to speak up for themselves. On personal agency, I feel a lot different from then. I do have a huge amount of agency in my life where it concerns me. My own agency is enough to make something happen, but not enough on its own to make change. Contributions need to come from many, encouraged by each person's own sense of individual and collective agency. Finally, on the lives of others, they often contain more than we could ever imagine or understand. Strangeness is beautiful, but the connection and purpose that belonging to a community brings is something that will always unite us. I've spent the year trying to make data, valued for its flatness and frictionlessness, essentially more personable. I do believe information systems can create an amazing civic spirit, one that celebrates individual dignity, and also our deep need to come together and belong. I hope my project has come some of the way to achieving that. Thank you.